More details have been released as to why Molly Qerim abruptly quit ESPN. And when I say abruptly quit, I mean she left work, I think it was on Monday, and she never came.
Last night, she abruptly resigned as the host of the show. And to say that I'm quite sad about it is an understatement.
Was Molly Qerim's exit from ESPN really just a fresh start? Or was it something way darker hiding behind that polished smile? The whispers around this one are wild, and if even half of them are true, this could be the most tangled story ESPN's seen in years. Fans are convinced there's more beneath the surface, a secret so deep it's got insiders sweating and social media sleuths working overtime.
Times when you have someone abruptly quit a job, they're not leaving on the best terms. Normally, it's polite to give your employer some kind of notice.
This isn't your average TV shakeup or quiet contract expiration. No, this saga's bursting with whispers of betrayal, shady power moves, and behind-the-scenes double-crossing that feels straight out of a late-night thriller. The tension hasn't just rocked ESPN, it's cracked open the facade of a network in meltdown, and suddenly, no one's sure who's really calling the shots anymore. For more than a decade, Molly Qerim held her own beside Stephen A. Smith, reigning over First Take with style and control. She balanced chaos and charisma, keeping egos in check while the cameras rolled. And to the world, it looked like the perfect partnership.
She was quitting right now. Both ESPN and Molly Qerim, they are trying to polish the... They're trying to make this look like an amicable divorce. And look, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Maybe they couldn't come to an agreement and they agreed to amicably part ways. I'm more interested in...
Pure on-air magic. But then, just like that, she was gone. Her name disappeared from the lineup overnight, and before anyone could blink, the rumor mill exploded. Sure, Molly's farewell on Instagram hit all the right notes. Classy, gracious, even emotional. She shouted out the brilliant, passionate, and entertaining voices in sports, and thanked the loyal viewers who'd watched her grow. But come on, fans could sense it. That post felt too neat, too polished, like a curtain carefully pulled to hide the chaos backstage. Behind the smiles, ESPN's response was pure damage control, a slick PR cover-up with glossy tributes, warm memories, and picture-perfect nostalgia. But not one person dared to mention why she really left. Not one word. And that silence? It spoke louder than any farewell post ever could. The real chaos? It wasn't happening on camera. It was brewing just behind the scenes, and it was about to blow up like a firestorm no one saw coming. What unfolded next could have been ripped straight out of a wild late-night soap opera. The first accusations didn't come from ESPN's top brass, or even from Molly herself, but from a voice claiming to be Stephen A. Smith's own ex-girlfriend. This mysterious woman dropped her so-called truth bombs online, and she didn't hold back for a second. Her words hit ESPN like a grenade, torching reputations and setting the stage for a full-blown scandal that had fans gasping for air.
Let's remember, what did just last week Stephen A. was on air bragging about the people he stood up for to get paid and how many, Cam, I did it for Shannon Sharp and I did it for this person and that person. And when I look at the abrupt, I'm not coming into work tomorrow.
Yeah.
That also is like, maybe there's pointing the finger at Stephen A.
According to this supposed whistleblower, Molly Qerim had been secretly running a calculated campaign to sabotage Stephen A. from inside the building, leaking private contract details, whispering gossip to his competition, and even, allegedly, planting a story about harassment meant to nuke his entire career. The motive? A fiery mix of jealousy, revenge, and ego. Molly wants Stephen A.'s money without Stephen A.'s talent, she snapped in a rant that instantly went viral, turning what should have been workplace drama into a full-on war of pride and power. Even if you take that story with a heavy dose of doubt, one thing's crystal clear. Tension at ESPN had been simmering for months. You didn't have to be a genius to notice it. Staffers and sharp-eyed fans could feel the chill every time the two shared a screen. Their debates weren't just fiery banter anymore. They were personal, biting, and sometimes straight-up awkward to watch. Social media clips started surfacing. showing heated exchanges over everything from guest lists to sly digs about paychecks and control. Something was clearly breaking, and it wasn't just the teleprompter. There was Molly throwing shade on live TV, joking about how she couldn't even go to the bathroom without Stephen A. Smith knowing.
Qerim, she, yesterday when we talked, we knew that she was leaving, but we didn't know she was leaving like immediately, which is an indication that, man, this thing's a bit more complicated than just they couldn't settle on the money. It just seems more seriously. She's off the show.
And Stephen firing right back with those half-serious, half-sarcastic jabs that made everyone watching squirm. It wasn't just banter anymore. You could feel the tension buzzing through the studio air. Fans started asking the real question: how much of this feud was spilling straight from the green room onto the live broadcast? And when it comes to ESPN, where whispers travel faster than official statements, those sparks quickly turned into a wildfire of speculation. The rumor mill kicked into overdrive. Everyone had a theory, and none of them sounded good. But the moment that truly set the whole thing ablaze came just weeks before Molly's sudden exit. A full-blown behind-the-scenes meltdown at ESPN's Connecticut headquarters that allegedly got so explosive, security had to step in. Depending on who you believe, that confrontation was years of buried resentment finally erupting in one chaotic scene. Insiders claim Stephen A. accused Molly of betrayal, while Molly shot back that she'd been sabotaged right there in front of stunned producers desperately trying to keep the drama off slack and out of sight from ESPN's top dogs.
She goes to FS1 or launches her own show on YouTube. I wish Molly Qerim nothing but the best. I don't want to see her fail, but at the same time, I don't see a path to success. It is hard to build an audience by yourself. It's hard to build and sustain an audience when it's just you.
This wasn't your typical "see you Monday" type of disagreement. This was scorched earth warfare. The kind of shouting match where you know there's no coming back, only fallout to contain. And that fallout hit ESPN's doorstep fast. Within hours, the higher-ups were spinning the story like pros. Calm, polished, and completely controversy-free. The official line: Molly's exit was about personal growth and turning the page. ESPN's president of content, Burke Magnus, even served up a poetic little statement, calling her an integral part of ESPN since 2006, and insisting the network had simply offered her other opportunities. Sure, that sounds nice, but anyone who knows the game knows when a company says no drama, you better duck, because the drama's already flying. Then came the perfectly timed twist. Just as Molly's farewell was trending, ESPN announced Malika Andrews had inked a massive new deal. Fans went into full-blown meltdown mode. Was this a coincidence or a carefully planned switch-up? Did ESPN quietly replace one strong woman with another to distract from the chaos behind the curtain? And right in the middle of it all stood Stephen A. Smith, the master of controlled chaos. On air, he mourned Molly's exit with heavy words. To say that I'm quite sad about it is an understatement. But then, in classic Stephen A. fashion, he slammed the door on the details. The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all business, he told viewers with that trademark smirk. But come on, when a man says that right after a glass-shattering argument, you know there's a lot more he's not saying.
A lot of times, some of these things happen, and it's just uncomfortable to see. The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all business. But it's not as if I know all the details. It was a contract negotiation that was going on. ESPN certainly did not want to lose her. But in the end, she made a decision.
Stephen A.'s follow-up comments only made things messier and way more suspicious. He told fans, "That story is for her to tell." Do I have an idea? Of course I do. Am I gonna share it with you? No. That line right there, it was gasoline on the gossip fire. It screamed that whatever went down wasn't clean, wasn't calm, and definitely wasn't something ESPN wanted hitting the daylight anytime soon. As his words echoed online, the rumor mill went into overdrive. Social media detectives started pulling clips, analyzing every tense glance and offhand remark between Molly and Stephen A. like they were studying courtroom evidence. Every awkward exchange suddenly looked like proof that something ugly had been brewing beneath the surface. Fans resurfaced one particular live segment where Stephen A. joked about Molly's eating habits during commercial breaks. Maybe a harmless tease, or maybe a jab with a little venom behind it.
Jason, I actually watched that whole video clip of Stephen A. Smith. I just thought it was fun. It ain't none of y'all business. It was a contract negotiation. Well, so that was about the money. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for cluing it. It's always about the money, though. It's like in boxing. Why didn't this fight happen? Easy. There wasn't.
Either way, people weren't laughing. The backlash came fast and hard, with fans calling the comment disrespectful and hinting that Stephen A. might have been carrying an old grudge. Soon, every tiny smile, sigh, or side-eye on First Take became a clue in the growing internet investigation, like a true crime series unfolding in real time. But then came the so-called receipts from Stephen A.'s alleged ex. Screenshots, emails, and wild claims that painted an even darker picture. According to her, Molly wasn't just stirring drama. She was supposedly working with a few higher-ups at ESPN who had their own grudges against Stephen A.'s skyrocketing success. It was a messy cocktail of jealousy, power moves, and old-school workplace betrayal. The kind of scandal that never makes the press release but always lands on gossip blogs by morning. And if that wasn't enough, the whispers grew louder about Molly's contract demands. Insiders claimed she'd been pushing for huge pay raises and expanded influence behind the scenes.
When I heard that it was immediate, I was like, oh, she must already have a job lined up.
Hmm.
And the job that she has lined up must be some sort of competitor to ESPN. And so that made me, is she going to Fox Sports?
Demands that some say sparked a Cold War over who really ran First Take and who deserved those million-dollar checks. If you listen to the conspiracy crowd, ESPN wasn't trying to settle the feud, they were trying to save face. With rival networks circling like sharks and ratings pressure mounting, the network's top brass supposedly cared more about their image than about fairness or loyalty. So here's the burning question. What could have driven someone like Molly, a longtime network favorite, to risk everything? Her reputation, her alliances, maybe even her peace of mind. Was it ambition gone too far, or a desperate move to keep from being sidelined while new stars rose and bigger contracts rolled in? No matter which side you believe, one thing's certain. The stakes in this saga were sky high, and nobody was walking away clean. Molly was already fighting a private health battle, something that made her an unlikely villain in all this chaos. But when her illness suddenly popped up in Stephen A.'s ex's viral rants, the internet went wild again.
The other thing I thought, Steve, was when you pay Stephen A. Smith $20 million, that means, okay, well, whoever his co-host is, they're going to want an exorbitant amount of money. And so she may have been making $2.5, $3 million as the host. Well, when Stephen A. is sitting there making 20, well, maybe now she wants to make 10.
People couldn't decide if it was a low blow or a clever diversion. Was this a sympathy card being played, or a quiet exit strategy before the whole situation exploded on camera? Either way, the timing couldn't have been worse. Now we're standing in the wreckage, a studio missing its steady anchor, a lineup of hopeful replacements waiting to snatch the spotlight, and a network doing everything it can to pretend this is business as usual. But come on, the embers of this scandal are still glowing, and the smoke hasn't even cleared yet. Something about this exit still doesn't add up, and the silence from the people who do know the truth is deafening. Stephen A. keeps feeding the frenzy just enough to keep everyone hooked. Every time he talks, it's a tease, never a confession. Why won't he spill? Is he shielding Molly, protecting himself, or covering for something way bigger that ESPN doesn't want out in the open? His vague comments keep fans guessing, reporters digging, and conspiracy threads multiplying by the minute. Then there's the strangest twist of all. Stephen A., the man who never holds back, suddenly clammed up. When Molly's departure hit the headlines, his tone flipped from fire to frost. His words came slow and careful, like he was walking through a minefield.
Molly is a friend. Molly is a coworker. Molly is somebody that I have leaned on many occasions in the past, as she has done when it comes to me. We've been partners on the show for the last...
The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all business. It's not as if I know all the details, he told viewers. But that calmness? It sounded too rehearsed, too measured. When has Stephen A. ever stayed quiet unless the stakes were explosive? His silence feels like a velvet rope strung across a crime scene, an unspoken warning that the truth behind this mess could blow up more than just reputations. Is he protecting himself or shielding the network from something that could send shockwaves straight up to ESPN's executive floor? Either way, the man's poker face is giving detective movie levels of mystery. And as Molly packs her bags, leaving those ESPN hallways behind, chaos rushes in to fill the space she left behind. The show must go on, but the energy's off, the tension's thick, and the once mighty network built on loud voices now sounds like it's whispering, praying no one notices how deep this story really goes. Malika Andrews' rise at ESPN happened so fast it left everyone dizzy. A promotion and contract extension that felt too perfect, too convenient. The deal was so sweet, it almost looked like a reward for being in the right place at the right time. Fans were quick to notice the timing, and the whispers started instantly. Was this part of a quiet plan all along? Did ESPN slide Molly out the back door just to usher Malika into the spotlight with a bow on top? Or was Molly simply caught in the middle of a much bigger, messier chess match, one where pawns get sacrificed and loyalty means nothing? One longtime producer who survived more shakeups than a California fault line spilled the truth bluntly. Power struggles have become ESPN's new blood sport. Inside those glass towers, it's every person for themselves, and not even the biggest on-air names are safe from being pushed off the board. When you follow the money, the picture gets a lot clearer. Stephen A. Smith's growing influence is impossible to ignore. His paychecks now rival NFL coaching salaries, and his say-so carries more weight than some of the execs running the network. Every time ESPN hands him another multi-million-dollar extension, the tension inside the studio climbs higher. Behind the scenes, a lot of familiar faces are quietly fuming. Veteran anchors, longtime producers, even a few managers are starting to bristle at Stephen A.'s ever-expanding empire. With him calling more of the shots and Malika soaring on the fast track to her own media kingdom, it's hard not to see Molly's exit as a casualty of this behind-the-scenes turf war. The corporate line says, it's just business, but let's be real, the timing feels surgically planned. Like someone at the top decided it was time to clear the field of anyone not playing by the new rules. And just when we thought the plot couldn't twist any harder, the whispers about Molly's blackmail folder hit the internet. Yes, you heard that right. Multiple insiders claimed Molly kept a secret stash, a digital arsenal full of sensitive emails, private recordings, and off-the-record gossip about top executives and on-air stars. If even half those rumors are true, that folder could be the ultimate insurance policy, a nuclear-level bargaining chip in the hands of someone who knew how to use it. Some insiders believe it wasn't just Molly's exit that ESPN wanted handled quietly. It was that folder. The possibility that she had the kind of dirt that could detonate careers might explain why the network moved so fast and stayed so silent. It's no wonder the top brass seemed eager to make her disappearance from First Take look neat and drama-free, when in reality, it may have been anything but. What kind of secrets could Molly have been hiding? One former production assistant swears she saw emails, detailed exchanges about contract drama, tense negotiations, and even unsent complaint drafts about certain colleagues. Another insider claims there were voice memos, the kind that captured those uncomfortable, off-the-record moments between anchors and management. Nobody's confirmed what's really in that mysterious stash, but the thought alone has ESPN's higher-ups losing sleep. The network's legal team has gone full Fort Knox mode, locking everything down tighter than ever. But just knowing that such a file might exist? That's enough to send a chill through every corner office in Bristol. It's straight out of a boardroom thriller, because all it would take is one perfectly timed leak, and the whole empire could come crashing down. Some fans have rallied behind Molly, calling her a survivor, a woman who fought back against a toxic, male-dominated workplace. But others see her as something else entirely, a master strategist who finally pushed her luck one step too far. The truth? It could be both. Because in a world where fame is measured by trending hashtags and contracts worth millions, playing fair is just another PR slogan. Even as Molly's official goodbye statement oozed positivity, I'm so grateful for what this journey has given me. Lifelong friendships, unforgettable memories, and the chance to be part of something truly special. You could still hear those metaphorical doors slamming shut behind her. The ripples from her departure stretch far beyond one host's exit. They've exposed cracks in the foundation of a network that once looked untouchable. Now, ESPN stands at a dangerous crossroads. The same ambitious culture that made it powerful might be the very thing tearing it apart. Staffers whisper that the brand's competitive fire has turned inward, consuming its own talent. Everyone's asking the same questions. Who's next to pursue other opportunities? Which scandal will be quietly buried before it hits the front page? Every ex-employee with a grudge seems to be waiting in the wings, clutching receipts and ready to talk. And Stephen A? His silence has become its own kind of headline. He's playing it cool, never confirming, never denying, just letting the rumors swirl while keeping his image squeaky clean. But people can't stop wondering, is he staying quiet to stay safe? Or because there's something much bigger he doesn't dare expose? The longer he stays silent, the louder the speculation grows. Talk shows, podcasts, and YouTubers are circling like vultures, dissecting every side glance, every awkward laugh, every comment that could hint at what really went down. ESPN has always thrived on debate, but the one happening behind closed doors might be the biggest, ugliest one yet. So what happens if that blackmail folder ever sees the light of day? Could we see contracts ripped apart, anchors walking off set, or high-ranking execs stepping down for personal reasons? And what about Malika Andrews? Is her throne as stable as it looks? Or is she next on the chopping block when the ground shifts again? This scandal feels different, darker, more personal, and way more radioactive. If even a fraction of these whispers are true, the fallout could scorch everything and everyone in its path. ESPN's most explosive drama isn't playing out on air. It's happening behind those glass walls, where every locked door hides a secret and every smile masks a power play. So what do you think really went down? Whose side are you on? Molly's, Stephen A's, or neither? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share this wild story, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Because trust me, this firestorm's just getting started, and in the world of sports media, nothing stays buried forever. See you on the next one.